Welcome everyone to our Spring 2023 Jammy Career Connect series. Our topic for today is the C-suite pathway for education and psychology. My name is Yas Hardaway, and I'm the Executive Director of GSEP Career Services. And this event is a partnership between GSEP Career Services and our Alumni Relations team. Some of you may be wondering, what is Jammy? Jammy is a Swahili term for community, and our Jammy Communities of Practice programs are designed to provide up-to-date labor market information in the fields of education and psychology, as well as to connect you to a larger career community. In the fall, we have our Jammy Career Webinar Series, which are moderated Q&A panels. And in the spring, we have our Jammy Career Connect Series, which are interactive learning sessions consisting of breakouts. So what are our learning outcomes for the Jammy Communities of Practice? Number one, we hope to help you identify the next action step toward your career objective through these programs. We hope to help you gain relevant information about the current labor market and to increase your awareness of working professionals from the Pepperdine community. Just a couple housekeeping items. The session is being recorded and live transcription is provided if you need it. I also want to draw your attention to our Jammy Career Connect Drive. So in this drive, you'll find previous recordings as well as the speaker lineup for today and our previous Jammy Career Connect sessions. Only the introductions will be recorded. The breakout sessions will not be recorded. So before I turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Renee Dorn, I just wanted to provide an overview of the agenda for today. So we will start with our speaker introduction. So you'll have a chance to hear from each of our speakers. Dr. Dorn will ask a couple questions to get us started, and then you'll have an opportunity to choose your own adventure and go into the breakout room to learn a little bit more and have more of an intimate conversation with a speaker. About halfway through, we'll invite you to change rooms so that you have an opportunity to hear another perspective. Then we'll come back together in the larger room and share some announcements, some additional information, and then we'll close out. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Renee Dorn.
Thank you so much, Yaz, and welcome to everyone joining us in today's Jammy session. I am always thrilled to introduce our alums. They do such great things, and we're always appreciative that they come back and support GSEP and all of our initiatives. So today we have 4 GSEP alums that will be on our panel. So going in order, alphabetical order, the first alum I'd like to introduce you to is Christina Flores. Welcome, Christina.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I have had a pretty exciting journey to be the Chief HR Officer right now at Logix Federal Credit Union, and I oversee all aspects of people and culture, including training and development, policies and procedures, total rewards, people operations, and talent acquisition. And I feel lucky to be part of a career that I'm very passionate about. So I look forward to talking to you more about that.
Thank you so much, Christina. And tell everyone which program, GSEP program you graduated from.
Yes, so I actually just graduated last year from the Masters of Organizational Leadership and Learning.
Wonderful. And welcome, Christina.
Thank you.
And our next speaker for today is Dr. Christian Greer. Welcome, Dr. Greer.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christian Greer, and I'm the president and CEO of the Michigan Science Center in Detroit. My career has been primarily in informal STEM education, and I pretty much worked in museums my entire career. I am an alumnus of 2 programs in GSEP. One was used to be called the OMET program. Now it's MALT, and Masters in Learning Technologies, and also an EDLT, which is the Doctorate in Learning Technology. So my MALT graduation was in 05, Cadre 7, and I just graduated just a couple of years ago in 21 with my doctorate from GSEP. So I'm very happy to be here. Love the Pepperdine community, and hope to be able to share some thoughts with you today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. And next, our next alum I'd like to introduce to everyone is Michelle Gross. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Michelle Gross. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am currently the Chief Executive Officer of Evolve Treatment Centers, which is a treatment center for teens 12 to 17. I oversee really kind of everything that happens from marketing to our clinical operations and everything in between. It's been an amazing journey that really I have to thank my experience and in the clinical psychology program at Pepperdine, getting my master's and starting a journey as a therapist and then kind of working my way up into the C-suite. It's been an amazing experience and I feel thankful and excited to be here today and to help share that journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. And our last speaker that I want to introduce you to is Jordan Watson. So welcome, Jordan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I was thinking that I have orange and blue in my blood, because for Pepperdine, because I did my undergrad at Pepperdine, and then I also did the general MA in psychology at Pepperdine. And I just feel so grateful for this community and its service orientation that Pepperdine always has. So it's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me. A little bit about me. So I work in behavioral health care. Have had the opportunity to be a chief growth officer, which is really overseeing how these services grow and help more people gain access to care. And currently what I'm doing is I'm working with multiple different private equity groups that specialize in healthcare and have behavioral healthcare holdings, portfolio companies, helping those companies grow and reach their goals and serve more clients. So grateful to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So I have a couple of questions to ask our panelists before we go into the breakout rooms. So at this time, the first question I really want to ask is, all of you are in C-suite positions, whether you're CFO, CEO, chief human officers, resource officers. So how did you get into those positions? How long did it take you to work your way up to those positions? And I'll start with Jordan. I'll go ahead and start with you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great question. I think some of the things that I would, some of the highlights that I would give in regards to best practices would be the roles that you're in, as the roles that you're currently in an organization, thinking about how you can knock it out of the park in that role and also add value at an enterprise level. That has always been outside of your role. That's always been a way that I've been able to take on new projects or opportunities that have given me the chance to demonstrate competency. And then that enterprise level thinking, I think, is often needed as you move up the levels to how you can think about how my role impacts the wider organization. So I think that's a cornerstone if you're looking to grow into those levels. And then the other one would be, I really believe in finding relationships and staying humble and learning from people. So I had a real opportunity to have excellent mentors in my life and come alongside them and say, hey, here are my career goals, here are my competencies, here's where my gaps are and my soft spots are, and look for folks that can invest in coaching you in those areas. I think if you can do those two things from a posture of humility, you're going to have a lot of opportunity. So that's been my experience.
That's good to know. Let me ask you a follow-up question regarding the add value at an enterprise level.
Yeah.
Now, when you say that, are you talking about possibly maybe volunteering on committees as being a part of the organization, such as maybe diversity committee or some other type of committees within the organization, so that you can be seen throughout the organization doing additional work?
Yeah, I think that's one option for sure. I think I love that. I think my experience has been whatever role you're in, there's folks that kind of think about their area of responsibility, right? And they kind of work in their lane. And then there's folks that think about, how can I impact the wider organization from the role that I'm in today? And they have that enterprise level mindset, right? So these folks
Right.
tend to be more collaborative. They tend to find the weaknesses perhaps in the organization as a whole and offer solutions on how they can contribute from their seat. Those folks are often tapped for projects or initiatives and have the opportunity to grow and expand their competency. So I think it's also just a mindset in the role that you're in,
Right. Right.
versus just thinking about your areas of accountability. It's kind of widening that scope.
I see. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah. Early on in my career, that was, I think one of the best practices that helped me advance.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you. Thank you for that. Next, I'm going to go to Michelle. So what are some ways that we can move up, and how long did it take you to move up to CEO?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And I definitely second a lot of the sentiments that Jordan was sharing. My journey to CEO, I think, was not necessarily intentional at the time. I didn't set out to become CEO, I think, but the most important thing was I came to my organization almost 9 years ago and have really been a product of moving up and being a part of a company that has always promoted growth within. I think that that's really important to be a part of something where that culture is a big part of who they are and wanting to give people opportunity. But really, when I came to Evolve, I was a counselor trying to accrue my hours to be a therapist, but I always felt like I was interested in more. And so how could I do more while still knowing that I was going to pursue licensure at the same time? And so similar to what Jordan was saying is I would stick around for conversations. I would volunteer for going to do things that were outside of my, job duties per se, where I saw a lot of my peers that would say, well, I'm not going to do this unless I get a raise, or I'm not going to do this because it's not written in my job description. And I kind of was looking at it as, but I'm so curious. And, what does that look like? I think being an executive, as much as you have to hone your craft and be really good at one thing, you really actually are good at many things, and it's understanding a breadth of different kind of departments and different functions of an organization. And so really being able to observe and ask questions was a huge part of my success, and being able to learn more widely, also than learning what I'm interested in. And so I really took opportunities and looked at them as a challenge and not as something that was, oh, someone's putting something on my plate. Now, obviously, of course, you have to define your value, and that can go, overboard. But, when you're young in your career, that's the time to kind of, go for it and really be seen as someone that's willing to be a team player. And so then from there, I started growing into the operations world and really found my passion in trying to drive clinical change from a macro level. I loved the idea of making change for our families and our teens, but I felt that I could make a bigger impact by how does that, translate into culture and structure and organizational policies and procedures. And so I think having a passion for what you do and feeling like the work is never done is also a big component of that. We always say, if you're not trying to be better than you were yesterday, then you probably are stagnant and you're going in the wrong direction. So you really need to be pushing yourself constantly to be kind of a better leader and gain more knowledge every single day.
Okay, that's good to know, especially talking about volunteering for duties, understanding the different functions of an organization. That's very important. Good to know. Thank you. Dr. Greer, I'm moving next to you. So what are some ways that as students, they can work on moving up in an organization in order to get to that C-suite level?
Well, that's a great question. And I think I'll just start just by recapping a couple of things that I heard from Michelle and Jordan that I totally agree with. The work is never done. It just really isn't. And although we're talking about getting somewhere, but I'm going to maybe balance out what my colleagues have said by talking about what happens when you get there, because there really isn't a particular formula that I can think of for getting to the C-suite or being a president and CEO or an executive director. There are some commonalities to people who have been there, but the one thing that differentiates for me are the people that know what they're doing when they get that job and the people that don't. And I hate to just put it that bluntly, but when you're doing that extra work and preparing yourself and trying to focus on what you need to do to be as successful in your own way, and then complementing your current skill sets with things that help you be better on the stuff that you don't do so well, or the things you know about your own personality and that sort of thing, is really critical, because it's a tough job. And having been a freshman CEO starting in late 2019 and then going into 2020, the advantage I had is that no one really knew what they were doing. So we were all kind of starting on the same page. So I didn't feel so out of place by not having as much experience. But I did grow up in the field. All of my positions have been in museums or informal ed in some way. So I felt very comfortable just doing what I thought I should do in a mission-based 501c3. And that proved to be very helpful because the passion was there. And sometimes when things are challenging, you need that passion. But in terms of prepping yourself, there's a saying that my chief of staff says that I've adopted now. And I think I know what she means, because I live a little bit of that. She says, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important thing. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I think being in this program, for many of you, you may have been working while you were in GSEP. Like that was my process. And that's really hard, to get a master's or a doctorate or some certification while you're working. But at the same time, it's actually one of the best ways to do it, because you're applying what you're learning right in real time in your job. So all I can say is make sure you keep that, as Jordan said, mindset. You have to keep that mindset throughout your process, and you'll never be out of date. Degrees have a freshness date, but I think these degrees in GSEP don't have to, if you use what you learn every day and apply it and continue to learn. And that's what's been my formula.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good information. And Christina, and I want to ask you, because you have certain certifications. So I want to know, is that necessary in order to move into the C-suite, or is that particular just for certain C-suite positions?
Well, I would say for those who are interested in a career path in HR, those are really ideal to have when you are trying to be like a general HR practitioner, to understand different aspects of HR. It's almost kind of like a mini master's, I would say. Some of the programs to learn that diversity. I think a lot of people, when they think of HR, they think of policies and, the department that says no, but trust me, there's so much more that we do that's strategic and drives revenue for the organization and changes people's lives. So I think it just depends, again, what type of career path you choose for yourself. But I do have designations and working on a few others in regards to like compensation. I have my designation, SHRM SCP, the SPHR, which again is more of a broader exposure to different aspects of HR that you might not get starting off in an HR career. You might just be kind of a recruiter or a benefits person. And so I think having that background is really beneficial to understand also, kind of where you want to plot yourself to get to other areas of HR in your career, and then be a CHRO one day, right? Which is kind of that mishmash of everything put together. So.
No, that's excellent. Everything that you have told us has been wonderful information. And at this time, I'm going to pass this back to Yaz, because we're getting ready to do the breakout rooms. And so I want everyone to remember what each of the panelists said, so that you can put in your mind which breakout room that you want to join. So thank you to all of our panelists, and we will see you in the breakout rooms. So back to you, Yaz.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dorn. And thank you again to all of our panelists. There was such wisdom in the thoughts that you shared initially. So I'm excited for the opportunity to do a deeper dive. So as Dr. Dorn mentioned, we're going to transition now to the breakouts. Just a few housekeeping. Franya will put the speaker lineup in the chat if you hadn't seen it already. And this is an opportunity to choose your own adventure. You'll have an opportunity to hop into a breakout of your choice and really ask some of the questions that you have about executive leadership. We have some sample questions here that we'll also put in the chat just to get you thinking, but you're welcome to ask your own. And I do encourage you during this portion, if you're able to have your cameras on. I think it allows for a little bit more of a connection. This is also a great networking opportunity. So I think being able to see each other would be of value. Just a reminder to also please share space with others. So once you've asked your question, just to please take a pause and make sure that no one else has questions before you follow up with yours, just so that everyone has that a space to engage. Using the raise hand feature might be also helpful in kind of prioritizing the questions that come up. And then halfway through, we'll give you a signal and you can change rooms, and that'll give you an opportunity to hear from a different perspective. So even if another speaker may not be in the line of work that you're pursuing, just having an additional leadership perspective can be really helpful to you as you think about how you would pursue leadership in this area yourself. So, okay, so without further ado, let me check in with Franya. Franya, are we ready with the breakouts? Good to go? Okay. So please feel free to choose your breakout now, and we'll switch in a little bit less than 15 minutes. And I just wanted to thank our speakers again for taking the time to be with us today. I imagine that you have very busy schedules, so the fact that you are here today and you made the space really says something about who you are and who you are as leaders. So we just really appreciate your wisdom and the experiences that you shared with us today. So thank you. In some of these conversations, it came up that this idea of continuing your education. And so we invited Ernesto from our enrollment team to talk a little bit about our doctoral programs for those who are interested in pursuing the next level of education. So I'm going to turn it over to Ernesto to introduce himself.
Thank you. Yes, appreciate it. And thank you everyone for being here. Such a wonderful conversation, really. I was at with Dr. Greer and just learning about what he's been doing and how he's, quite literally his degree in this area helped him transfer over, and what the importance of that has been since. So really, truly a wonderful conversation. So thank you, Dr. Greer, for that. Again, my name is Ernesto. I'm the enrollment officer for the doctoral programs here at Pepperdine University, and also for the SEC program. That stands for Social Entrepreneurship and Change. I did put my information in the chat, and I'd be more than happy to connect or talk with anyone who has, either completing a master's or is completing a master's and thinking perhaps about the next steps, when it comes to continuing your academic journey. Here at Pepperdine. If you, and I've met a few people who have recently finished their MS here at GSEP, congratulations to all of you who have done that. You might not know, but we do have what's known as a doctoral pathway, which means that from your master's programs here at Pepperdine, you are going to be able to transfer up to 9 units from that master's into the doctoral program of your choice. And we have 4 doctoral programs, 1 PhD and 3 EDDs. And again, I inputted that in my or on the chat. So you're more than welcome to look into that, as well as my contact info, my email, and my phone number here in the office. And I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to attend them, address them. If I don't know the answer, I will get I will connect you with someone who will, but please ask any questions, and we're more than happy to connect you with the right person. So thank you for the time, yes, and thank you everyone for being here today.
Great. Thank you so much, Ernesto. We have such a supportive enrollment team and just appreciate you being here with us today. So I just wanted to remind everyone before we close out about the resources that you have available to you. And my colleague Franya will put links to these in the chat. Handshake is our career portal where you can access employment listings, career events like the one today, career resources, and connect with other peers. It's also the site that you would use to sign up for career services appointments, whether it's a document feedback session or a career design session. As Pepperdine students, faculty, and staff, you have free access to LinkedIn Learning and Coursera to be able to continue your education, to upskill in certain areas, and you can earn certificates and digital badges too that will help increase your employment potential and just opportunities to highlight those in your LinkedIn profile or other social media channels. And then as Pepperdine alumni, you have access to other Pepperdine alumni through LinkedIn's alumni tab. So we'll put a link to how you can access that as well in the chat. I just want to spend a couple minutes talking about ChatGPT. Some of you are already familiar. If you're not, ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence language model, and it's been trained on vast amounts of text and data up until September 2021, I believe. And it can basically generate responses to questions that you put in and answer questions that you have. And so I just wanted to share a couple of examples about how you might utilize this in your career planning. So let me just do a new screen share. So I put in the question up here: what are some sample bullet points for a master's student in clinical psychology who is applying for an MFT associateship position? And you can see here, it gave me a list of several bullet points that I can adapt to make them my own. So for those who have trouble generating their bullet points or figuring out, well, what did I do in that role? This can be a great way just to get the juices flowing and to come up with some different ideas. Another example I put in here: can you provide me with a SWOT analysis of D.D. Hirsch Mental Health Agency in California? So if you're researching employers, this might be a great question to ask too. You can see here that it provided me with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats associated with D.D. Hirsch. So that if you're preparing for an interview, if you're exploring different organizations, this might be a way for you to get a more holistic understanding. Now, let's say I have an interview coming up with D.D. Hirsch. I can say, can you provide me with specific interview questions? So then you can see here, quickly, it'll come up with a list of interview questions to help you prepare. Just like that. So there are plenty of other ways to be able to use it as well too, but I just wanted to provide some examples. And also just to mention that you do want to be able to fact check the information that comes up, because it pulls from a number of resources, and it could potentially pull from fake news that's out there on the web. So just wanted to make note that as you utilize ChatGPT, that you want to adapt the information and also cross-check the information as well. Now I would like to briefly turn it over to my colleague Usman to share about our DEIB initiatives with Career Services. Usman?
Thank you, Yas. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Usman Khan, Career Design Counselor here at GSEP Career Services. So as part of our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and as part of our vision at Career Services here at GSEP is that every graduate will have the clarity, confidence, and community to access, thrive, and transform the future workplace. And as part of our DEIB efforts, we are committed to ensuring all of you, including our students and alumni, have access to our resources and services from an equitable lens, and to foster a sense of community and belonging for each of you, while being able to honor each of your diverse backgrounds and identities. And as part of our resources today, we're sharing 4 articles and some food for thought for executive leaders, as well as aspiring executive leaders, being able to incorporate diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the workplace, and how we can foster a culture of DEIB in our personal and professional lives. So we're sharing some articles with you, and you can always follow up if you have any questions, and love to discuss more regarding each of these. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Usman. Thank you for sharing. So we would love to know how the session was for you today, and Franya will put this link in the chat. It's a brief survey, and we utilize the survey information to plan our future program. So your comments, your questions, your reflections really make a difference. And we will draw one winner from you'll have a chance to win an Amazon gift card from our opportunity drawing. So what's next? This concludes our JAMI Career Connect series for spring 2023, but fall is just around the corner. So stay tuned for our menu of webinars for fall 2023. And then finally, I just wanted to invite you all to continue connecting with GSEP. Franya will put in the chat all of our different social media channels. You can follow people, comment, share your own information. And this is just a great way to network with others who have similar interests as you and to stay connected with the GSEP community. Thank you all again for being here today. The fact that you took your time, for many of you, it's your spring break, to be with us today really says something about your desire to continue learning and developing in your own career. And just thank you again to our speakers who just your wisdom and your time today really has made a difference. It has made a difference to me. I certainly learned a lot. So thank you, everyone.